another dose of your weekly rundown. Of course, joined in with me as always, my co-host all the way from the U, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
Yo, yo, yo. How's it going?
Doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. Where do we start? Where do we start? The New York Football Giants, for all you New York Giants fans, now after their win over the Cincinnati Bengals and a loss for the Philadelphia Eagles to the Seattle Seahawks, to the top of the NFC East. This for the first time since 2016. A lot of people are looking at it in different ways. Nothing's a given here. This is going to be a race. You know, all these teams are neck and neck with each other right now. I believe the Giants have a 38% chance to win the division, but just like about 2-3 weeks ago, it was a 5% chance. So it's very up and down here. Unfortunately, with good news, there's always some bad news. So while the Giants do sit atop the NFC East, their quarterback, Daniel Jones, who seemed like he had been improving as the weeks went on, he looks like he is going to be sitting out with a hamstring injury for, we don't know exactly how long, but what it looks like is at least a week. He got hurt during this game on a run play. That's the downside to being a running quarterback, is you have a greater chance of sustaining injuries when you're using your legs like that. So he tried to come back in the game. He couldn't really plant his foot the way he wanted to. He had to come out. Colt McCoy finished the game for the Giants. So, you know, the Giants, they signed Colt McCoy for a reason, get their backup quarterback in there, a seasoned veteran. He did what he had to do. And, I mean, they're playing the Seattle Seahawks this upcoming week. So, you know, even with Daniel Jones in there, it's kind of hard for you to expect a win. But, I mean, if he doesn't come back, and the Giants look like they've continuously improve like week to week. And as is Daniel Jones, if he doesn't come back, it's almost like the Giants' chances of winning the division and getting to the postseason are looking slimmer.
Yeah, definitely. I think even because they were kind of going on a run right before he kind of went down. I think you kind of need him out there. They got I think they play the Seahawks twice coming up before the season ends. So they got a couple tough games down there.
They don't play the Seahawks twice.
Oh, they play them once? Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got the Seahawks and you got a couple other games. So I think you'll definitely need him out there. So without him, I think it kind of hurts their chances of making it, like you said.
Yeah, big time, man. So it's going to be a race to the finish there, especially with the Giants, they have the tiebreaker over Washington right now with the 2 wins. And, you know, I mean, it's like I said, it's gonna be a race to the finish there. So we will see what happens. Sorry, you guys are hearing that right now. We will see what happens with the New York Giants. I want to go over to the New York Jets, who at 0-11 as they go for that tank for Trevor. But I don't want to talk about the fact that they're 0-11. I want to talk about the fact that Adam Gase is still a head coach in this league. You know, and Matt Patricia, the Detroit Lions just fired him after they got embarrassed on Thanksgiving, Thursday football. And I mean, you know, I'm going to get into Matt Patricia and all that right after this, but I mean, like, what are the Jets waiting for? It's almost like as bad as things seem for the New York Jets, it doesn't even matter. Like, Adam Gase's place there seems like cemented, his job is safe, and I really can't understand why, because they don't look good. The team doesn't play for him. Like the play calling you see it's clear that he's doing the play calling. There's nothing creative and all of that. You know, it was mentioned how he was this offensive guru quarterback guy, and it really hasn't been any of that. So like when you look at this, it's like, are the Jets going to fire him? And if they are, when? You know, there's like conspiracy theories out there, like they're waiting for the season to end because they want Trevor Lawrence, and if they fire him, there's a chance that once they go to Greg Williams to be the interim head coach, that, you know, they could win some games because they'll be, you know, a little pumped up more.
Yeah, I think their season is kind of over at this point. It might be one of those things where you kind of wait until like the off season to make the changes. I guess you can make the changes now, but like you said, they might be tanking to maybe get Trevor Lawrence. So you kind of, at this point, maybe let things go how it goes and you make those changes during the off season. That's maybe what they're waiting for.
Yeah, man, it's But I'm just wondering, like, if he gets if he keeps his job, like, what is he going in there and saying? You know what I mean? Like, is because it seems almost like we might have talked about this before. It seems almost like he's like blaming it on everything that Mike McCagnon put together before him. Because almost all of those players that were there before, when Adam Gase first got hired, they're gone. The only guy that's still there is the quarterback, Sam Darnold, and it's pretty self-explanatory. He'll be out the door pretty soon. So
Yeah, well, I don't think he's gonna be able to keep his job. I don't think there's nothing he really can say to keep his job. Like I said, it might be one of those things where you just wait until the off season before you make any changes. You figure that no change that they're gonna make right now is probably gonna make a huge difference on maybe what's going on. Maybe you win a game or two, but they're probably figure like just kind of the season's kind of a wash at this point. You wait until the end of the season, and there's really nothing you probably can say or can do or anything. You just wait until the off season to make the changes.
yeah, man. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that because we will definitely be talking about that if he is still in there as head coach once the offseason comes around. And also, how things will look for them because it's no guarantee that Trevor Lawrence is going to come out for the draft either. But I did mention Matt Patricia earlier. Matt Patricia did get fired, and I'm not bringing this up simply because I want to talk about the Detroit Lions and Matt Patricia. More so, what I want to talk about is something that we've been talking about within the NFL, and kind of the unfair advantages one demographic gets over another as far as coaching goes, and how short or long the leash is going to be for white coaches as opposed to black coaches. We talked about Anthony Lynn in the past, and exactly what's going to happen with him with the way that the Los Angeles Chargers are looking. I mean, the coach previous to Matt Patricia in Detroit was Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell was in Detroit for 4 seasons. In those 4 seasons, he only had one losing season. In that one losing season, they were 7-9. They decided to let him go after 2 9-7 seasons. It took Matt Patricia 3 seasons to accumulate the same amount of wins that Jim Caldwell accumulated in 1 season. Yet they chose to move on from Jim Caldwell after the success that he had to go with Matt Patricia because I guess maybe because of the New England factor. So I mean that begs the question of because the NFL seems like they've tried to kind of help this out a little bit. I have the Rooney Rule's out there. Then they've talked a little bit about trying to give incentive for teams that develop black head coaches and hire black head coaches and things like that. So I mean, like when you see all of this, what are you thinking?
Like you said, the NFL is trying to kind of get them to maybe hire some more black head coaches and things like that. But it's kind of how it goes in the NFL. Same thing we kind of seen with the Colin Kaepernick thing. Like, so you at this point you hope for the best. You like you said they're doing the right things to maybe get some black head coaches in there. I think there's definitely some black head coaches who are well deserving of it. It's just you gotta yeah. I don't even know, to be honest. It's just one of those unfortunate things how things go. You just hope for the best, really.
But I mean, Jim Caldwell's been out of the league like since that firing. So I remember when the Giants, and I mean, if you're a Giants fan, you should be happy with the job Joe Judge has done over there. But that aside, like when that coaching job opened up, he was a guy that I thought should have got that job. Well, not should have got that job, but definitely should have been looked at for that job based on his resume, and wasn't. You know what I mean? So like. For him, for that opening up, is it like did Detroit make a mistake, or should they even try to bring him back?
I think the way it kind of turned out for Detroit, it definitely looks like they made a mistake. So it'll be interesting. I think they should maybe try to go back, but it'll be interesting to see if he even wants it anymore. Just the way how things turned out, you know what I mean?
I mean, and also the Houston Texans job will be open once this season's over. That's going to be a hot job to take with Deshaun Watson leading them over there at quarterback. Before we move on, because Kayson's smiling a lot here.
The chat is funny right now.
Yeah. The chat is booming right now. I promise we will get to Nate Robinson. We definitely will get to Nate Robinson. But we do have a question here from some family, man. Shator Davis, Kayson. How do you feel about Miami U freshman Earl Timberlake missing the start of the season?
It's unfortunate for him. He was a 5-star recruit coming in, so I know people definitely wanted to see him. I know I wanted to see him. Maybe their best recruit in a couple years, to be honest. So he's supposed to miss 3 to 5 weeks, so that's kind of a long time during the season. So, uh, it's a sprained ankle, so kind of how sprained ankles go. You can feel good one day, kind of feel bad another day. So it's gonna be this kind of wait and see. So it's not a terrible injury where it's gonna be like, oh, you have to see if he'll be able to come back. It's just a quick little sprained ankle. So I think he'll be able to come back and hit the ground running. It's just unfortunate to see because he's definitely a recruit that everybody wanted to see.
For sure, for sure. Make sure you guys definitely keep while you're tuned in to keep getting those questions in there. We'll be answering them throughout the show. So before we move on to the NBA, let's just get to one more thing in the NFL. The New England Patriots are continuing on their winning streak. They got a much needed win, a close one right at the end of the game against the Arizona Cardinals. You know, Cam didn't put up amazing numbers, but they did what they had to do to win. They're back in the thick of things there. So, I mean, I said they were going to look better with Cam than they did with Tom Brady a year ago. Still up in the air. I know Tom Brady just played against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs for much of that game. He didn't look that great. He did make some big plays down the stretch to kind of put it back in there. What are the expectations here for Tampa Tom as well as the New England Patriots moving forward? You can never count out the New England Patriots. They're continuing to show us that. And Tampa is a team that I think will get in, but will probably not make a run in this postseason.
I think Tampa's. I think both of them are kind of an unknown right now. I think Tampa is like, like you said, they'll get in, and you think with Tom Brady and Gronkowski and those guys that they can get in and kind of make some noise and maybe shock a couple people. You think maybe Tom Brady's up there in age, so the regular season at this point is just the regular season. You hope with their experience and stuff, they step up in the playoffs, so they could go out in the first round. They can shock you and make a Super Bowl run. So I think it's kind of unknown right now. I think the Patriots too. You talked about it on here a lot, just the things that they dealt with earlier in the season and things like that. So they're still kind of trying to get their footing and things like that. And Cam Newton's trying to come back and get back healthy and everything. So they're just trying to starting to play better football as the playoffs kind of come ahead. So I think both of them are kind of unknown at this point. It's kind of like it could really go either way. Even with the Patriots getting in, like you said, they could end up be playing their best football when the playoffs comes, and that's kind of all that matters. So I think Tampa Bay is like one to kind of to watch out for. Like I said, with just Tom Brady and those veterans over there, just when the playoffs come, you expect to kind of step up under the bright lights, so they can kind of shock us. I think as good as the Patriots are, I don't think they'll end up making a Super Bowl run either way.
I don't think they'll make a Super Bowl run either, but that is a team that I would say you absolutely can't count out. Stephon Gilmore is still on the field over there. He's still playing at a very high level. And, you just can't count out Bill Belichick. I think Bill Belichick is definitely seeing what's going on in Tampa and saying, we want to we want to get at them in some way, even if we're not going to play them.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that.
And I mean, also there's definitely frustration over in that camp in Tampa. Tom Brady and Bruce Arians haven't really seen eye to eye at times throughout the season, especially when it's bad. We know Tom Brady will be the first one to throw those temper tantrums when he doesn't like how things are going, and he'll say one thing, and Bruce Arians, in typical Bruce Arians fashion, will take a shot at him once it's his time to speak.
Yeah, so that's something you definitely got to watch out for over there. It's yeah, this is something you just got to watch out for. You hope that they can get together, but it's their first season together. I think a lot of people seen that there might just the way that Tom Brady plays and things like that. That I think they seen the kind of the difference in maybe their styles. So they got to kind of just get on the same foot, and you hope, like I said during the playoff time, that they can do that.
Yeah, you got a guy who's kind of been known more as a dink and dunk quarterback with somebody who likes to air it out, so definitely a clash in styles there. Let's get over to the NBA. NBA because some news broke right as we were getting ready to start the show. This is from ESPN's own Adrian Wojnarowski. Free agent guard Reggie Jackson is returning to the Los Angeles Clippers on a one-year deal, sources tell ESPN. Jackson is expected to play a prominent role in the Clippers' backcourt rotation. So, I mean, when they signed him last year during the buyout market, he was a guy that I just looked at and said, I like him as a piece there, but definitely not in your starting rotation. There's still question marks about their point guard situation there. I like Patrick Beverley for them, but as your starting point guard, not so much. And Reggie Jackson, I kind of feel the same way. I don't know if they made this move as kind of a last resort thing because they couldn't get anybody else that they wanted. But I mean, it's hard like on how to take it because it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also not the move that the Clippers really need right now.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's not the move that they necessarily need. We knew that they need to upgrade at point guard, even with Reggie Jackson on the roster. I think just the way that their offseason has played out, that they wasn't able to kind of get the point guards that we thought they would be able to get, maybe Rondo, someone like that. So I guess Reggie Jackson knows the system. You bring him back. He's gonna like they said, he's gonna play a role in the offense. He's gonna be a second year with them, so he's better than kind of nothing. He's an offensive point guard, someone different from Patrick Beverley, who's a defensive point guard. So at this point, if they can't, because it looks like they're not gonna be able to upgrade that point guard at this point, I guess just bringing Reggie Jackson back was their best option.
Yeah, that's definitely what it's looking like. I want to know like what else the Clippers are gonna have up their sleeves because this can't be the last thing. They're going through a big change and moving on from Doc, bringing Ty Lue on as from the assistant to the head coach. And they still got their question marks. They lose Montrezl Harrell, they bring in Serge Ibaka. They bring back Morris. Some other guys. There's rumors out there that they might trade Patrick Beverley. I definitely don't think that's ideal right now with the way that the team looks, unless you're going to get something nice back in return. But they lost Landry Shamet as well. Like we'll talk about the power rankings and stuff like that because they came in second at ESPN's. Based on the roster and the way things are going, that doesn't look like a team that's going to finish second to me.
Yeah, me either. I think the trade Patrick Beverley would be interesting. I don't know what they can kind of get back for him.
Not Patrick Beverley, excuse me, Lou Williams.
Even same. I think with losing Montrezl Harrell, you need that kind of firepower off the bench. So I don't think trading Lou Williams right now would be the greatest idea. Also, I don't know exactly what they'll get back for him and kind of what they're looking back. Maybe if you can get a point guard like we were just talking about, someone that can run the offense for them, but then you lose maybe a little firepower because I don't think there's no real point guard out there that they can get that's going to give them the firepower that Lou Will gives them, plus gives them maybe the leadership. So I think I don't know what they're going to do. I think they've kind of been losing the offseason. They made a couple good pickups with Serge Ibaka, and they just got Nicholas Batum, but I still think they need that point guard. So it's just I think they're going to have to just go into the season with what they got, and then hopefully something falls apart or someone falls apart, someone gets unhappy, and then at the trade deadline they can kind of upgrade.
I think they have two options. One, because we know the situation's still pretty bad in Houston, and we haven't heard anything's changed since then, even though, they made the signing of Boogie Cousins. They actually brought back Gerald Green. We should talk about that. That's somebody that they definitely missed last season with him being out for the year. It looks like they're going to run it back with what they have. But, I mean, they have two options, I feel like. One, you get Derrick Rose in there. I think he's still under contract in Detroit, right? So you'd have to trade for him.
Yeah.
And two, because I brought up Houston, trade for Russell Westbrook. Now, we can argue about like how great of a fit that'd be and everything like that. But at the end of the day, the Clippers need a point guard. And right now, it looks like those are the two best guys available.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the trade for Russell Westbrook would be interesting. I don't know if they have the money that could kind of match up to get him. I think that'd be maybe a great option for him. Like a lot of people don't think like you said, how they would kind of fit together. I think you kind of just get the pieces in there and hope that they all kind of work out together. You know, you get great talent together sometimes, and you just let them kind of figure it out from there. But I think the Derrick Rose that you bring up is more of a realistic option. I think he's on a cheap contract, and who knows how Detroit is gonna kind of fare this year. They look like they're kind of maybe going more towards a rebuild than kind of contending. So I think Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose are definitely on the market. Derrick Rose has improved his jump shot over the couple years since he's been injured. So I think Derrick Rose is more of a realistic option.
Ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? Breaking news on the rundown because we are live. The tentative NBA Christmas Day schedule has come out per Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. So at 12 p.m. we got the New Orleans Pelicans versus the Miami Heat. 2:30 we got the Golden State Warriors against the Milwaukee Bucks. At 5 p.m. it'll be the Brooklyn Nets against the Boston Celtics. 8 p.m. we've got the Dallas Mavericks against the Los Angeles Lakers. And to wrap everything up at 10:30, the Los Angeles Clippers are going to take on the Denver Nuggets. I like it. Well, most of it anyway. I think we seen with Clay going out, it's pretty. We all think the Warriors aren't going to be that great of a team. And then, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for me.
Nah, I don't. It's cool. I think the Lakers should be playing the Heat, a finals rematch, or they should be playing the Nets. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
I think the Lakers should be playing one of those three. The Lakers should be playing either the Heat, the Nets, or the Clippers. But I'm not going to be mad that they're playing the Mavericks, especially when you got Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis over there.
I'm a little upset. I think they should be playing. I really want to see them play the Nets. I think the Nets versus the Lakers on Christmas would be something that is definitely worth watching. I guess the Mavericks too, but I'd rather see them play the Nets. The Heat because it's the finals rematch, and the Clippers. I know they probably wanted to go away from the Clippers because that was kind of their marquee matchup for everything last year. I'd rather see them play the Nets. I don't like it. I don't like it. The Mavs.
Not a,
I think the Mavs versus the Clippers. The Mavs versus Clippers would have been better, especially after that first round matchup.
See, do you not you don't like it at all, or you just don't like it because of that one matchup?
I don't like it because of that one matchup. I don't like it because of that one
All right,
matchup.
but aside from that one matchup, do you hate it?
Uh, the Pelicans Heat, like they the Warriors Bucks. I don't like it at all. Yeah, I don't like it at all. I think they could have did better.
I honestly, the Warriors is what really kills me, just because I'm not expecting them to be like that good. Pelicans, I don't really know what to expect from them with some of the moves that they made, well, not or lack of, with letting certain guys go. But I mean, a Clippers Nuggets rematch, I like that.
I I'd rather see the Heat Bucks. I'd rather see that rematch. I'd go Pelicans Warriors.
I wouldn't mind that either. But the other thing too, at least with Nets Celtics, you know that there's narrative there because it's Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics.
That's like 2 years ago. Nobody cares about that storyline no more. The Celtics could play.
I don't care about that no more.
Nobody cares.
Let
about
me
that
know. Y'all
storyline.
don't care about that no more.
No one cares about that storyline no more. They probably don't remember it. Nets Lakers. The Nets Lakers have to be it. Clippers Mavs. You can do. I don't know where you put the Nuggets in here. Or the really. I'd rather do Heat Bucks, Mavs Clippers, Nets Lakers, and then the Warriors Celtics, and then we'll go Pelicans Nuggets.
I really don't think the Warriors should even be in the mix here.
I slightly agree, but you gotta remember that's Stephen Curry. Like people want to see.
I get that. I get it. But also, I want just because he hasn't proven it to us yet. Well, no, let me not say that because this is the time that they'd be. All right, forget I said that because this is the time that they're going to be starting it anyway. So he'll be there. But all right.
But they could have did. I could have did better than this. I'll tell you that. The Heat Bucks. Y'all remember how that series went? People want to see that. Nets, KD.
I mean, the Bucks got punked.
KD. Yeah, exactly. So they got to come back. We want to see that on Christmas. KD, Kyrie versus Bron and AD. People want to see that. The Nuggets Clippers is like, I guess they did play each other in the second round. Cool, but I guess that game could stay maybe. You move the Mavs. The Mavs Celtics might be better.
Mavs Celtics wouldn't be bad. I'm not mad at Mavs Lakers though, especially when you look at what they're building up over there.
I'm mad at it. I don't like. It's a good game, but do I care? Like Christmas is supposed to be their marquee games. Do I care to see the Lakers play the Mavs on Christmas? No.
It's a different year. This is supposed to be their opening. This is supposed to be their opening day as well as Christmas. Well, not opening, but this is supposed to be around the time that they're starting the season.
I mean, yeah. So
For situation here.
I gotta see their opening day matchups then, because that's probably why the schedule is like this. Because they probably got a couple of big opening day matchups where it's like it's probably Nets Lakers opening day, and they want to do it again on Christmas. I hope that's the reason, because if not, then I don't know what this is, to be honest.
Hey, we'll see. Because more is gonna come out on it as time goes on. But hey, man, we'll see. We will see. So, well, let me get into the Brooklyn Nets since we talked about this, because there's a couple of things. Because Media Day started today. Brooklyn Nets came out. One of the things I noticed, Kevin Durant came out and basically said the talk of him having conversations with James Harden, trying to get him over to Brooklyn, are completely fabricated. That was number one. I also saw that he talked about kind of having to temper his expectations for when he really gets back. And that he kind of underestimated the rehab for his Achilles injury. And then the big thing for why I'm bringing up the Nets, and this is from Ian Begley, is Steve Nash said that Jacques Vaughn will lead the Brooklyn Nets defense and Mike D'Antoni will lead the Nets offense. But he wants his entire staff to have input on both sides of the ball. That's a recipe for success when you see the track records there.
Yeah, I believe I said that. It's probably a clip of me saying this a couple weeks back when
it is. Yeah. It definitely is. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not surprised for him being a first year head coach. It just makes the most sense, like you said, with both of their track records. It just makes the most sense. And then Kyrie had came out and said kind of the same thing, how everyone's going to have input, but those are probably the two guys. And then Steve Nash is kind of just going to be a figurehead at this point, learning as much as he can. And he's going to take over at some point just because, as a rookie head coach. But they're really kind of shaping him to be kind of this great head coach to kind of towards the future. But as his first year and his rookie year, I think they kind of got like we just said, an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator around him. So it kind of takes the load off him.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you expect for a lot of these rookie head coaches, regardless of sport. We saw that with Joe Judge this season in the Giants. We've seen it in a lot of other teams as well. I believe we'll see it with the Houston Rockets, with their coach as well. So that's definitely a look. But they're the team to watch for. They're definitely the team to watch for. And I'm going to get into that right after we answer this question. So a quick question for the both of us. How do you think they are going to handle the Super Bowl situation? Do you think they're going to do it pay-per-view or take the loss on the seats? No pay-per-view. They'll take the loss on the seats, unfortunately. There won't be no gouging or anything like that to try and get us to watch the Super Bowl. A lot of people pay top dollar for those ads to be played during the Super Bowl. We're all tuned into the Super Bowl when it goes on. So they're going to take the loss on the seats. They'll probably, maybe they'll try. I don't know the exact plan on what they're going to do, but I think they'll try to get fans in there. So with the World Series, they got some fans in there this past year. So, maybe that'll be the plan there.
Yeah, I think they're gonna definitely try to get some fans in there. I doubt they'll do a pay-per-view, kind of like you said. They, like you brought up a good point. They do make a lot of money off those ads, and they also do make a lot of money off the streams and people watching on ESPN or whatever channel that it's on. So they make a lot of TV money already. So the best thing they're gonna try to do for fans is kind of like I said, kind of like we both just said, get fans in there, get the small amount of fans as we can get in there. But those ticket prices are probably gonna be ridiculous. The Super Bowl ticket prices are already ridiculous. You think you have a small amount of people who can come, it's probably gonna start like $5,000 for like a nosebleed. Insane. So they're gonna try to get some people in there, but it won't be none of us.
Yeah, I'll be watching that one from my couch. So. Hey, I want to get back to basketball, man. They got this from Kayson, by the way, because ESPN's seeing something that apparently we don't. So ESPN's projected standings via RPM. For the 1 seeds in both conferences, the Bucks, the Lakers, the 2 seeds, Raptors and Clippers, 3 seeds, Heat and Rockets, 4 seeds, 76ers and the Utah Jazz, the 5 seeds in both conferences, the Boston Celtics and the Denver Nuggets, 6 seed, the Brooklyn Nets and the Dallas Mavericks. 7, we got the Indiana Pacers and then the New Orleans Pelicans on the west side of things. And in the 8 seed, they got the Phoenix Suns and the Atlanta Hawks sneaking in. I like the Hawks and the Suns at 8. I'm trying to wrap my head we go to the East first. I'm trying to wrap my head around the Nets being at 6 with so many people thinking about how they're talking them up so much. And let me play devil's advocate. I get it. Kyrie's coming back from his shoulder injury. KD's coming back from the most devastating injury you can come back from. But I mean, we've seen some videos of Kevin Durant, hooping in the gym. I'm not gonna lie. I did see one that Drake posted where KD was in the back just shooting up nothing but bricks. But aside from that, he's been doing his thing. And then, no, let me just stay with the Nets, man. Let's categorize this. So the Nets at 6.
Yeah, I think that is kind of ridiculous. I said on here multiple times that the Nets should be the one coming at Eastern Conference. The put them at the 6th seed is they're maybe expecting KD not to come back being the KD that he was before. Maybe Kyrie getting injured throughout the season. I don't know what they're thinking over there, but the Nets are definitely not going to be in the 6th seed. They're definitely going to be in the top 4. They should be maybe 2, 3, but they're going to be in the top 4. For them to put them at 6, I think they just maybe underestimating KD coming back fully healthy, Kyrie coming back fully healthy, the time that's maybe going to take them to gel together, it being a shorter season, things like that. But I definitely do not think that they're going to end up in the 6th seed.
I mean, also, yeah, I think they'll finish higher as well. Where I don't want to say that yet, but we got that on audio. Kayson said they're definitely not going to finish in 6, so that's on record. But aside from that, they're thinking highly of the Raptors to have them come back at 2. And like I said a couple of weeks ago, for them to have the Bucks projected at 1 again, if the Milwaukee Bucks don't have the same season again that they had last year and the year before, and don't come out of the East, there's going to have to be something to be said about Giannis and what they're doing over there, because it's a complete. I don't care who they lose to. It's a complete failure to have that much success in the regular season 3 years in a row and still not make it to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can't knock them too much. They lose to the Nets. Maybe I'm just super high on the Nets, but yeah, for them to be the top seed for the 3rd year in a row and lose, it looks bad for kind of anybody. So I think them getting that top seed and losing again is just it's gonna look real bad for them. We don't know what's gonna happen with Giannis. So I think I mean, obviously they have to aim for the top seed, but if I was them, I wouldn't want to get in and kind of lose and not make it to the finals again.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go over to the West, because there's a couple things I want to touch on here. We already talked about the Clippers and mentioned how we don't think they're a team that looks like they'll finish second in the West with things that are going on. What's crazier is they got the Houston Rockets at 3. The Houston Rockets lost a lot of key pieces this offseason. They signed DeMarcus Cousins, who's coming off, another big injury. So we got to see what he looks like. Got to see what these guys look like under Stephen Silas and his coaching staff over there. Are Russ and Harden gonna be up to the task with the fact that doesn't seem like they even want to be there to begin with, and yeah, the Houston Rockets at 3.
Yeah, I think they're just thinking that because the fact that Russ and Harden are still there, they're probably just thinking that since they're both still there and they haven't been traded yet, if you think about it, with those two talents, they should be able to get the 3rd seed if they're both there and they're going to play. So I kind of get it a little bit, but with everything that's been going on with them, we kind of don't know if they'll be there for the whole year, if they want to be there, how hard they're going to try, I guess. So I think if you look at it, I guess on paper, like they still have Harden, you add Cousins, they still have Westbrook, so you think, oh, all right, they should be able to finish above the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Mavericks, and things like that with those talented guys over there. So I wouldn't have put them 3, but I guess I see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I guess so. I got to really think about that one, but I guess I think Gerald Green, like I said earlier, is going to be definitely a key guy for them, a nice boost for them. He brought in Christian Woods, brought back DeMarcus Cousins. Looks like he'll be a guy coming off the bench. We kind of talked about a while back how we thought that could work with those 3. So we'll see on that one. I do think that the Nuggets are going to be better than the Jazz, though. I think that team is only going to continue to take steps up from where they've been. They're finishing. I mean, that's what they've done for the last couple of years. They lost in the semis to Portland and then came back and went to a Western Conference Finals. So I actually think that that's the team that should be 2 right now.
Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from. Now, I still think it'd probably be the Lakers, Clippers, and I think anything from 3 and down is kind of up for grabs, just the way everything looks.
You have that much faith in the Clippers still?
Yeah, I think the Clippers should still be able to get that 2 seed. Really, I mean, as long as Kawhi and PG's not missing too much games this season, I don't see why not. I think they still have the talent over there.
But I mean, that is the question. Is it going to be load management going on, number one? Because if there's not number one, that's the thing. If they're going to be doing that load management like they did last year, they have a lot of holes on this team right now that I feel like they're not going to be able to be able to compensate for with those guys out.
Yeah, but I think with the way the season might go, they might not be able to kind of do that load management thing. I think they maybe be able to sneak in there against some of the lower teams, and they think that they can kind of get away with it. But they're not. I definitely don't think there'll be games where both of them miss. So I don't think there's gonna be games where like Kawhi and PG miss. But I think there might be games against like the Knicks where they're like, okay, we don't need PG for this game, so maybe we can sit him, or another team or whatever they think, oh, we might not need Kawhi for this game. So I think they'll try to sneak in a couple games where they can get them in there, but it'll be games where they feel like, okay, we don't need them, we still can get the win.
You did not need to bring up the Knicks. So, yeah, man. I mean, I did say how I like the Hawks and Suns pick. I think that those are probably 2 teams that I would pick to get in there at 8. I mean, we talked last week about like, maybe Charlotte trying to make a run there. I think that they could, but yeah, I'd pick with the moves that those 2 teams have made. I definitely think that they're like poised to get to break in there.
Yeah, definitely. I like what the Hawks did. The Pacers are interesting. I think they still got kind of their same roster. Victor Oladipo's coming back. You think he'll be more healthy this year, but we heard a lot of talk about him kind of wanting out and things like that.
But he said he's ready to go. He said anything that's been said about him, like talking to people, saying he wants to play for them, is false, and he's locked into the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah. Well, did they just get a new head coach, or am I bugging?
No, he did.
Who's their head coach right now? I forgot.
He's got like a foreign name.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. All right. Well, the Pacers are interesting. I don't think the Raptors are going to finish that high. But yeah, I like the Hawks maybe over the Pacers a little bit.
Nate Bjorkgren.
All right.
Watch the name. I don't know. Say it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So the Pacers, sure. I think the Hawks might finish a little above them, but I definitely like what the Hawks did. So I like the Hawks getting in there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing we got to talk about, man, we're going to try to put a piece together on this like we did last year, too. The most improved player, MVP, rookie of the year, all that type of stuff. Where are we going? I'm going to try and pull the favorites up right now, but go ahead, talk to me.
I guess to start off, my favorite for MVP, let me think. I'm gonna go. Giannis can't get it again. You know what? I'm gonna go Bron. I think Bron's gonna get it. If Bron plays enough games, I think right now, from the kind of the narrative that was going on last year,
Got it up, by the way,
about how that they thought he deserved it over Giannis, then the kind of the stop of the season happened and things like that. So I think there's a lot of hype on the LeBron MVP train right now. So I think LeBron, if I had to guess right now, I think Bron would probably get MVP.
Yeah, LeBron will definitely be in that conversation again for sure. He's got a lot of MVPs that have been off the table. We actually joked the other day too, and they were talking about Marc Gasol. He said Marc Gasol has one of my Defensive Player of the Year trophies at his house. So he's still salty about that season back when he was in Miami. But here are the odds right now. Well, the favorites. On the MVP front, it's Luka Doncic versus Giannis. Rookie of the Year, LaMelo Ball versus Anthony Edwards versus James Wiseman. Defensive Player of the Year, Anthony Davis versus Rudy Gobert. And Most Improved Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr. versus Jamal Murray. If I'm picking between any of the the choices there with the odds going for those guys. I think MVP is Luka. Like Luka has just continually gotten better every year. He's gonna lead that Dallas Mavericks team, to another step further to where they want to go. He's a guy I think will win MVP. As far as Rookie of the Year goes, I think LaMelo Ball is going to win that. I think LaMelo Ball is going to show out this year for sure. I think Anthony Edwards is a fantastic player, with his skill set and everything. I still question, everything up here and how much he loves the game. And then, James Wiseman, I think, is going to have a good Rookie of the Year. I'm mincing my words, but he's going to have a good season as well. But I think LaMelo Ball is just going to shine this season. He's going to put on a show in Charlotte. So I'm going to take LaMelo Ball to win Rookie of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, Anthony Davis is getting that. Anthony Davis got snubbed for that award. He definitely wants that one. He going to win that. And then Most Improved Player, Jaren Jackson Jr., I think is going to win that as well. With that young team and them, putting something together over there, him playing with John Moran, I think he's got something to prove as well, and he's going to take that.
For Rookie of the Year, I'm gonna go LaMelo Ball too. I think he just at a kind of the top picks. He's the one who's gonna have the ball in his hand the most. Anthony Edwards gonna have to worry about playing with Karl Anthony Towns and D'Lo over there, so he's gonna have to try to get in where he fits in as a rookie. Kind of, you say the same thing for James Wiseman because he's gonna be over there with Curry and Draymond and Wiggins 2020. So with all that going on, I think he's gonna have to kind of get in where he fits in too. So I think LaMelo, he's gonna be the one who's kind of on the team where there's no real superstar over there. So they're gonna kind of put the ball in his hand a little more, and he's gonna be able to kind of create and do a lot more than those other guys will have to. As far as Defensive Player of the Year, I'll definitely give that to AD too. Like you said, he kind of got snubbed last year, so I think he'll definitely be coming for it. And then just like kind of same thing with the Bron thing, the narrative is kind of there already. So once that's there, people kind of just run with it. I'm gonna say the same kind of for Jamal Murray, and I'm gonna take him for Most Improved. You saw what he did.
Take Jamal Murray over Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, because you saw what he did in the bubble. I think if he has a solid season this year, that I think people are just gonna kind of run with it. Kind of same thing. The narrative is there. He kind of blew up in the bubble. So you think he comes back and has a great year this year? You're gonna think people are gonna look at him for the Most Improved. So and then for MVP, if I had to pick between those two, I might take Luka too. I doubt Giannis to get it for a third time. So if I had to go between those two, it'd be Luka Doncic. But like I said, I believe Bron has a great chance of getting it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you talking about LeBron being in that conversation with Defensive Player of the Year. I'm gonna throw Jimmy Butler in that conversation too. Especially with that's kind of been his game, what he's known for. He plays in a defensive-minded team. He kind of leads them in that category, that side of the ball. See, that's definitely a player I think you should look out for in that category as well.
Yeah, I would put Bam in there too, maybe.
Yeah, I'd throw Bam in there as well. Just got a big contract, motivated to play, definitely.
Especially after that big block that he had in the playoffs. So.
Hey, I said it when we talked about it, man. It's one of, if not the greatest postseason block in NBA history.
Yeah, so I think with that block, a lot of people are gonna be looking for him kind of on the defensive end. So I think, that kind of set a tone.
For sure, man. You guys got any more questions before we get out of here? Well, no, we're not going to get out of here. Yes, I promise we are going to talk about that thing. But if you guys got any more questions for us before we do get to that, please let us know. Not going once, going twice. All right, you guys asked for it. We shall deliver. There was an exhibition fight set up on Saturday night between Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., but we not really want to get right into the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. We want to talk about Nate Robinson getting knocked out and knocked out bad.
The New York
against Jake. What's up?
I said the New York Knicks great.
Yeah, he had them New York Knicks colors on too. Man, that was bad. I mean, going into it, like when it was announced, I never liked it for Nate. Never liked it for Nate. Just knowing it was Jake Paul, right? Not Logan Paul.
It was Jake Paul.
I know that. I know both of them actually like train in boxing, and they've been training in boxing for a while now. Nate just took the fight and started training boxing. He was a complete novice going into this. It's the difference between a street fight and then like just actually going out there and boxing. You know what I mean? So I never liked it for Nate, the entire time. So in that sense, like I say, I'm not surprised it went that way. But I was not expecting to see him go down like that, though. That the media was going out crazy.
Exactly. Twice a day with Christianina, who is
scorecards because it was an exhibition, and I think one person like outright gave it to Roy, which I didn't agree with.
I guess Nate was kind of the highlight of the night. If you really think about it, that's kind of what everyone was talking about. I guess everyone was happy to see those guys get out there and box again, but I think the Nate knockout was kind of the number one thing.
Yeah, someone was saying that like they couldn't hear us talking because there was some sound over us.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you wanted to repeat that again.
Oh no, I just said that Nate was kind of the highlight of the night. I think it was good going out there and seeing those guys box again. But I think the Nate knockout was kind of what everyone was talking about after it was over.
Yeah, I mean, like when you talk about worth the money, like it was an overall, like it was cool to see. Hopefully we never have to see Nate Robinson go do something like that again. But like, hey, because people were killing him. Did you see what Steph Curry said? Like right after the fight.
The way he said, he was like, "I see no lies."
Yeah, like he like literally, you didn't even give him any breathing room. Like he just got knocked out, and you was just going at him. But like I said, man, much respect to Nate. You know what I mean for going out and doing that. But if I had any advice for you, either don't do that again or do some serious training for a while, or take on a lesser opponent. Because like I said, when it was announced, I never liked it for him, and just didn't go good. But overall, like mentioned it being worth the money or not, it was a good thing. Like I said, Snoop Dogg made it real live. What I didn't know was, did you know Lil Wayne was supposed to be on that and he couldn't make it, so Snoop Dogg ended up filling in?
I heard that Lil Wayne was supposed to perform. I didn't know he was supposed to be like on the commentary.
I heard he was supposed to be doing commentary. So that just the fact that blessing in disguise, maybe that was great.
Yeah, I was gonna say no disrespect to Lil Wayne, but I think I'd rather hear Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yo, Snoop, like I said, Snoop really has a future in that, man. Yo, speaking of Nate, Snoop started singing this Haim like right after Nate got knocked out. I don't know if you heard that or not. That sent me.
No, I mean I don't remember it right now, but I think
I gotta send you that one. He was just laughs the whole, like even when Mike and Roy were fighting each other, he was like, it's like two of my uncles fighting at the barbecue in the backyard, like you know what I mean? Like he was just man.
Yeah, I think Snoop did his thing the other night. I think I seen someone say, I don't know if he was joking around, but he was saying that I think he said something about like 15 million for 3 years, and he'll sign with someone to do commentary. So I guess look out for Snoop on a commentary coming up.
Yeah, for sure, man. Get him in some more NBA games and stuff like that. I know he did a hockey game this past year as well, for the Los Angeles Kings. So Snoop, keep doing your thing, man. Keep doing your thing.
I think that the Lakers broadcaster definitely have him on there. Sometimes they have guests that come on for a couple minutes.
He's been on there before.
Yeah, I was about to say that's probably somewhere he'll definitely be this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere like TNT signs him. You know how TNT does.
Yeah, definitely, man. Gotta do that. Especially, I'm not gonna speak too much more on that because I'm looking for employment myself, so I don't want to burn any bridges.
Well, someone in the comments said Knicks tape, so
I actually have something on the Knicks, man. From what I heard from Mark Berman, who's been covering the Knicks for a very long time. So let's just do it, just to add something in here. Leon Rose's plan came out. He wanted to trade for Chris Paul and then bring in Carmelo Anthony.
It makes sense for them. I seen a report after Chris Paul got traded.
No, go ahead, because I'm ready to unleash whenever you're done.
I seen a report after Chris Paul got traded, and it said that he was thinking about going to the Knicks, but since there's gonna be no fans, he said he doesn't want to go there unless he's getting the whole kind of Garden experience. So that was kind of out the door. I think that it makes more sense to go after Carmelo after you kind of have Chris Paul, and I think Carmelo would have thought about it more when Chris Paul was there. So it made more sense for Melo to kind of stay where he was at, but it makes sense for them in a sense. I know a lot of people want to see Melo back in New York, so.
I think Melo should end his career back in New York. Like, it's only fitting. Like, obviously he got drafted to Denver. He had a lot of success in Denver, but New York, like we know Carmelo Anthony for New York. But for the Knicks side of things, like, it's just like it's no different now than it was with the last regime. They just keep trying to sell them on hope instead of doing what a lot of people were saying they should do, which is just commit to building a team. You know, they keep trying to go after these stars and things like that. It's like Leon Rose, it's not a bad plan, but it's out of your hands to really go out there and execute it. You know what I mean? So, like, well, I just don't know exactly, like, what is going on over there? Like, what is the end game there? You know what I mean? Like, the fans keep saying like they want to get these guys and everything like that, but like there's no incentive for anybody to actually want to come to the Knicks right now. There's no player there right now where guys are going to say, I want to play with that guy. You mentioned the Chris Paul aspect with nobody being there, so he's not going to really want to go there because he's not getting that aspect. Also, he has a young son that I think lives in LA, so he wanted to be closer to there. So Phoenix made sense from that standpoint as well. But it's just, there's no winning situation in New York right now for anybody to really want to say, I want to go play for New York. You know, a lot of people are talking about the financial aspects of it, but I mean, you got Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to sign in Brooklyn. That's New York. There was an appeal there. You know what I mean? There's no real appeal for the Knicks right now. And they just it doesn't matter who they bring in. They keep doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, I think, but they said that they wanted to bring Chris Paul in to kind of maybe change the culture a little bit. You saw he was able to do it with the Thunder and those young players. You kind of bring him in to kind of get someone that's going to help your young players grow, help change the culture into a winning culture. You get Melo to come back, a fan favorite, another guy who's a veteran who can help the young players. So, and then they're going to win a lot more. So I think, sure, there's no incentive for people to come there now. There hasn't been incentive for people to come there for a while, but it's still the Knicks. People still like the Knicks. It's the Garden. People still like the Garden. So I think they should start rebuilding, but I think the Chris Paul and the Melo thing was more of a kind of trying to change the culture thing than a kind of one of those trying to hit it out the park like the Knicks usually try to do.
I get that, but it still comes off as we want to break. They wanted to make the playoffs. You don't bring card for a coach. They wanted to make the playoffs. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, instead of doing it the right way, they wanted to make the playoffs, and it blew up in their face. You know, and it was the same thing a couple years ago. They put this team together trying to convince the fan base that they wanted to make the playoffs. Yes, the Garden is fun, but guys are perfectly fine with coming to New York once a year. Kobe, what did he drop? 60 something in the Garden, and he bounced. He was fine with that. LeBron, same type of deal. He bounced. He was fine with that. Like, you know, there's no real appeal there right now. So you got to find a way to put it. They got to get lucky. They got to hope Obi Toppin is one of those guys that went later in the draft that turns into a superstar.
Yeah, but you think about it, making the playoffs is kind of what gets them the appeal for people to come there. There's no appeal to come there now because they haven't been in the playoffs and they kind of been really bad and kind of all the other things going around with the franchise. But if they got into the playoffs, I think a lot of people wouldn't come there. Like you said, people are fine with coming there for one game and kind of showing out, but people still do kind of want to play at the Garden. LeBron said the last game that him and D-Wade had, that it was either at Staples Center or it was going to be at the Garden. So people do want to play there. They just been so bad that it's kind of like, all right, so no one wants to go there. But if they make the playoffs, people want to go there.
Did you really just say that?
Yeah. People want to.
LeBron low key likes torturing the Knicks and their fans. You know, he was not serious when he said that. He just wanted to add that flavor in there to get people riled up and everything, because it's not the first time he's got Knicks fans riled up about him possibly coming to New York. Maybe it won't even be the last. I don't know. But look, I'm only saying it's been a cycle with them. through every regime, it's been we're chasing these players to try and make the playoffs instead of just sitting down and saying we're going to do it this way and build it up. They have not. That's the one thing that they haven't done. The definition of insanity is continuously doing the same thing over again, even when it's not working.
I mean, but they can look at they're kind of like in the same, I guess I shouldn't say this, but in the same sense of the Lakers. You see how the Lakers tried to rebuild with their young talent and all that type of stuff. That didn't work out. When you're a team like the Lakers or the Knicks, when you have that appeal for people to want to come there.
Hold on though. The Lakers did start to rebuild. They had a little bit of appeal there. They had an actual plan put together when they did that. They had some young guys there that made you say that, and not only were they were young names, but they showed some promise. The Knicks have not had that yet. They do not have any guys that showed some consistent promise there.
But they took the same route. They've been getting draft picks. They just haven't been hitting on the draft picks. Where are all those?
That's it. Look, because that's the other thing they talk about. All these draft picks, and I'm sorry that I'm cutting you off. I'm just very, I'm very adamant about it. This is something I talk about a lot. But look at all these lottery picks that they have, whether they drafted them or not. Dennis Smith Jr. failed. Frank Ntilikina failed. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist failed. We can go up and down the list. All these guys are failed. R.J. Barrett, the verdict's still out on him. We'll see on Kevin Knox, but it doesn't look that great right now. And Mitchell Robinson, he's good. He wasn't a lottery pick either, but he's good. But he plays at a position that's pretty devalued right now.
Yeah, well, if you take what you just said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. You keep getting these draft picks who are not working out, and it keeps happening over and over again. So you try to get other players to come in because you're the Knicks. And obviously that trying to rebuild with the draft picks isn't working. You get some players to try to come in and help change the culture, maybe help the young players, and you try something different. But to keep going after draft picks after they keep failing and failing and failing is insanity, like you said.
Well, I guess they got no end game here because it seems like they keep stepping over their own toes. Because, like I said, they can look at the moves they made. They're all cap holders because they're gonna go next season. They're gonna have about $70 million in cap space, and for what? If there's no real appeal there. And like I said, this is something that they have continuously done over and over. You're not going to sit here and tell me they have ever committed to a rebuild. They have never committed to a rebuild in the 20 years since they went to the NBA Finals.
You could think the last couple of years they haven't really went after no high profile players, or anything. They just been kind of getting their draft picks. Who'd they go after?
They said they sold the fan base on we're gonna tank for Zion Williamson and then sign Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They got nothing. They got nothing.
No. We're not blaming the Knicks for that. The Knicks fans did that themselves. They put that on themselves. The Knicks organization did not do that. The Knicks put that on themselves. The Knicks organization didn't make those Photoshop things. The Knicks organization.
James Dolan literally went on the Michael Kay show and said, "I feel very confidently we are going to get some marquee players in here this summer." Who do you think he was talking about?
Who knows? But they're the Knicks. You should feel confident that you can get marquee players in there at all times because they're the Knicks. He wasn't necessarily talking about them. I mean, I'm sure they were going after them, but the Knicks fans sold themselves. They're talking about, KD's uncle's been a Knicks fan all his life, so clearly he's coming to the Knicks. The Knicks did that to themselves. It's their fans. Don't blame that on the organization.
KD's agent is also a huge Knicks fan. That didn't help them either. You know what I mean? That was the other thing, by the way. They thought because they brought in Leon Rose that they were going to get his old clients to come play for him. Agents work for you. You don't work for them. There ain't nobody doing Leon Rose a favor. The only way Leon Rose is getting a favor from somebody is if they're in desperate need and they're like, all right, I'll sign with the Knicks. But it's not a good situation to go in right now.
But that's why they're going after Chris Paul and Melo. Those are some of his old agents.
Chris Paul said, "Look, man, I know we're friends. You were my former agent, but I'm not going there."
He was gonna go there if the Garden was the Garden, but he's not
keep telling yourself that.
He's not going to sit on the whack Knicks, the Garden's gonna be empty.
This is very unlike you.
The appeal for New York is kind of everything that goes on in the garden, how people like it, whatever. He's not getting none of that. He's just gonna be on the Knicks. Like no one just wants to be on the Knicks to be on the Knicks. Let's be honest. So like no, they don't want that. But if you're gonna sell them on the appeal, if you're getting that New York maybe Broadway feel, you see how the Knicks games be sold out and they haven't won a game in 5 weeks. So that's the type of thing. The crowd's going crazy. That's the type of thing you can sell people on because it's New York and it's the Knicks. But without that being there, Chris Paul's like, I'm not going there. Who wants to be there? It's cold.
A lot of people. A lot of people have been saying that, it has more to do than just the fact that there wouldn't be fans in there. You know what I'm saying? I think that the Knicks finally commit to a rebuild. Part of the reason for their fails at those lottery picks had to do with the people that were making them as well. They RJ, like I said, RJ Barrett verdict's still out. Kevin Knox, doesn't look good. But like Frank, they let Phil Jackson make a draft pick a week before firing him.
That wasn't the greatest idea, and the Knicks they have had some of their problems with management and things like that. Yes, so like some of the people making the picks, but even like think about the Porzingis situation. Everyone thought that was maybe not the best pick, but it ended up working out. So sometimes with draft picks, you just don't know. Like sometimes
then they moved on from him and lied about it. They lied to their fan base about why they moved on from him.
He didn't want to be there. You got to trade him.
They lied.
They didn't lie.
That's
he didn't want to be there.
Like, yes, they did. They were shopping him before he said anything. He didn't say anything about not wanting to be there. They were already shopping him.
I'll need to know the sources on this.
You go ahead. They're everywhere. Newsday, New York Post, ESPN, anywhere you want to. This is stuff that has legitimately been reported on.
Well, they didn't lie. He said he didn't want to be there and got rid of him. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you do that. He didn't say anything about wanting out until he peeped that they were actively shopping him. Of course, I'm going to tell you, I got some specific places I want to go if I know you're already trying to get me out the building.
Well, let's take the John Wall situation, for example. They were able to...
I got something to tell you about that, too, that I don't know how legitimate it is, but I actually heard Bradley Beal was like the one that wanted Russ over there.
It makes sense. I mean, you see what Russ has been able to do, so you team him up with Bradley Beal, I think... John Wall's been injured. No one knows how he's going to come back off this injury. So it's kind of like, I mean, Russ has been kind of injured too, but you see what Russ has been able to do. So I don't blame him. But we're not getting off this next topic. With John Wall, you see how they were able to fix the kind of relationship. Sometimes rumors are just rumors. So just because the rumors was out there doesn't mean he was really shipping them. People were probably calling about him, and they probably listened, but doesn't mean they were going to do it.
No, from what was reported, they were shopping him. People weren't calling them. They were saying they were trying to get assets for him, but well before he said anything about wanting to leave.
Well, sometimes in life, it's not about kind of what happened. It's kind of about what you can sell people on. So they can sell people on that he axed out and he was unhappy, so we got rid of him. So that's what Knicks fans have to deal with. He was unhappy. He axed out. He had to go.
Nick, they sold you on it apparently, and they got their fan base on board too.
But they were shopping him. They didn't trade him. The moment that he said he wanted to be out, he was out of there 2 hours later. So they could have traded him if he wanted to. They could have traded him.
And they didn't get fair compensation for him either.
And they could have traded him if they wanted to. So the only reason why he's out is because he axed out, or he would still be there. And then Knicks fans would have just ran with the rumors that KD called him a unicorn and that KD wants to play with him. And they've been in the same situation anyway. So I blame the Knicks fans.
I'd rather have Kristaps Porzingis in New York right now than what's there.
I guess he was a restricted free agent and you could have forced him to stay. But I'm a firm believer if a guy's unhappy, you get rid of him. He was unhappy. He had to go.
And that had nothing to do with the fact that they made him unhappy? It was the ball that was in their hands.
I mean, listen.
Kayson's trolling for viewers right now. I just want y'all to know that.
No, sometimes your girl makes you unhappy. You don't act out. You don't just ask out
You're
the first
right. You're right. You're right. You're definitely right about that. That's something I would never do.
So it happens sometimes. So they made him a little unhappy. You don't just ask right out. So he asked out. He had to go.
All right, man. Hey, you guys got any more questions for us before we get out of here? I know my man that brought up the Knicks things, he was making some jokes over here earlier.
Yeah,
If not,
Nick. I'm on the Knicks bandwagon, guys. Knicks 2021. We back.
I love how you are trolling right now. Like you do the same thing with Andrew Wiggins, and now you're doing it again with the Knicks. I'm Garcia Spence. I like it. I like that a lot. Yeah. So apparently Danny Garcia is the favorite to win that fight right now. I don't know why, because if this fight would have taken place pre-car accident, ain't nobody saying Danny Garcia is for sure going to win this fight. Number one, Earl Spence has a lot to show because Terrence Crawford just fought Kell Brook a couple weeks ago and showed out. Like I was not that I wasn't a fan, but I had a lot of criticism for Terrence Crawford based on his resume and him being ranked where he was as opposed to Errol Spence. So Errol Spence, he decided not to take a tune-up fight. He wants to fight a guy the caliber of Danny Garcia, who's not he's still a name, but he is not what he once was back when he had his title. But it's still not a tune-up fight. Errol Spence decided to take on that challenge instead of taking on a tune-up fight as his first fight back. So he's got to prove himself in that sense just to show us where he's at, number one. And then number two, he's got to show us where he's at, opposite of Terrence Crawford, because that's the fight we all want to see. But to get to your question, I'm going to take Errol Spence in that fight. I think he will show out, and we'll probably get a stoppage, probably in the 9th, maybe 10th round, somewhere in that vicinity, though.
I'm gonna take Earl Spence too, but kind of what you said, like you said, it was before the accident. Then a lot of people kind of would definitely be picking him. I think he's maybe the underdog here because a lot of people don't know kind of what you're getting from him. We don't know if he's gonna be fully healthy. Like you say, he should have took a warm up fight and things like that. So I think with just all those things against him and maybe the unknown of kind of what he may look like, especially after that crazy accident, I think people are just have him looking as the underdog because they don't know. We kind of talked about this on there when Rob came on, your cousin. We don't know how he's going to be able to take a hit. So I guess he's been training and things like that, but we don't know how he's going to be able to take a hit in a real fight. So I think with that case, a lot of people just look at him as the underdog because he could take a hit, and then we don't know what could happen. So I'm gonna stay with Earl Spence, but I guess I see why people are kind of got him as the underdog in this fight.
Yeah, I can't believe we almost skipped over that one. Shout out to you, my man. But yeah, that's definitely one to be tuned in for. We'll be talking about that one next week as well. And without further ado, we want to thank all you guys for tuning into another live episode. We'll get to you guys again. Like we're gonna try and get that early predictions article out for you guys soon. More shows coming, breaking news if we need to. And we're here, man, the rundown. We love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in again. We'll see you guys next week. You got the audio off. They can't hear us.